Hello friends, I am Rishayan. Story time in English. Just trying to think what other, I got a million stories, but it's hard to try to remember which stories have I already told in English, and many of these stories I've already told in Spanish, and so I'm going to tell them in English. And one thing I want to say too, that YouTube has recently started this thing of they automatically translate my videos. They never ask my permission, they just start doing it. I don't understand it. And a lot of people, they complain, they say, oh, I don't want to hear that computer voice and whatever. Well, I can't help it. They put it, I don't put it. They put it. And they change even the title of my video. For example, this video is in English, obviously, and it will have an English title that I will put. YouTube will change that title. They're extraterrestrials, the AI extraterrestrials, idiots that run the world now. They will change the title and they'll put a computer voice in Spanish, I guess. And so I apologize. I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do about it. I don't know. I don't know if it's good or bad. More people maybe watch the video, but it's not my voice. And my videos are the type of videos that my voice has a lot to do with the entertainment of the video. But oh well. So anyways, and the other thing I want to say too, while I'm thinking of it, I have a page in Facebook, Rishayan Barahias. Rishayan Barahias. I'm going to put the correct name in the description. If anybody, because I put a lot of older videos, they're mostly in Spanish, because so far most of the people that follow me in Facebook are Spanish speaking. But if more and more people in English follow me in Facebook, then I'll put videos in English. But it's not so much just the videos, it's the photos. A huge collection of photos, mostly of my adventures in Mexico, people that I knew in Mexico, scenery in Mexico, places that I've camped, towns and cities in the countryside, etc., etc. And as I continue to explore the world, which even at 70 years old I'm continuing to do, I will put new photos all the time in there. So if you're interested, if you do ask for friendship in Facebook, the only thing I ask, if I don't recognize the name and you don't have any mutual followers to me or something, and I try to judge by your profile, but best thing to do, I highly suggest, is just send a little message saying, I'm a follower of yours in YouTube, or I've seen your videos on YouTube, and I'd like to follow you on Facebook, and that's that. And then quickly I'll accept you. I know why you are asking for friendship, because there's still a lot of prostitution in Facebook. Those that know, still a lot of prostitutes that are, and they're mostly in English, that send me solicitudes, or how do you say in English, and I avoid them. And there's a lot of criminals. So just send a little note saying, oh, I follow you in YouTube, and I'll follow you in Facebook, and then I'll accept your solicitude. What else am I going to say? Okay, so what I'm going to talk about today is COVID. Yes, COVID, which now that my videos are not monetized, I make no money off of YouTube, I think I have a little more freedom to talk about the banned subject that the extraterrestrials will not let you talk about, or they wouldn't let you talk about during COVID. I'm going to do it. If they ban the video, they can go take a flying fucking leap. I don't care. But freedom of speech, I still fight for it. I fight for it all my life. So I'm going to talk about COVID, the banned subject of COVID, which may not be anymore. Maybe it is. I don't know. I was in Mexico in 2020 when COVID, right after the hysteria that occurred in March and April of 2020. I was in the U.S. at that time, and it was complete craziness. And I asked, please, Americans, please do not allow that to ever happen again. Rise up, please. It is the most criminal action ever taken by a government, and worse, by the World Health Organization and the CDC, criminal organizations, definitely, to take away people's freedom for a stupid fraud. And that's exactly what it was. Yes, COVID existed, and it still exists, but it's a flu, and they exaggerated and lied and lied and lied and lied. I can just remember this piece of crap president. I'm not talking about the current piece of crap president. I'm talking about the previous piece of crap president. I think it was in 2021, saying that, oh, the people that aren't vaccinated, you're going to have the winter of death. And I think that's the words that he used, the winter of death. What an asshole. What a piece of crap. But anyway, we know it's all fraud now. But anyway, so I was in the U.S. in April, May, when it was at its worst. But In July of 2020, I had to go back because I live in Mexico. I had to go back to Mexico, even despite all the problems with the face mask, the screwed up transit schedules, the airline schedules and whatever. But I went back. And I remember I had to fly. I always fly into Mexico City because at that time I was living in the state of Guerrero. And I always fly in Mexico City, it's most convenient. But for some reason, I wasn't able to. I don't know what was up with Delta and the flights that I take to Mexico City. So I had to fly to Cancun. I just don't remember exactly why that was. But I flew Southwest Airlines at that time to Cancun, out of my style. And then from Cancun, I just changed planes and flew to Puerto Escondido, Oaxaca, changing in Mexico City so I could arrive to where I had my house at that time. And I remember the first thing, you know, was the stewardess or steward, he was a man, I think, on the Southwest flight as we were landing in Cancun, made they all make sick statements. Oh, the stewardesses, they were horrible, you know, with this overemphasis on, you know, make sure you got your mask, make sure it's covering your nose, make sure, you know, whatever. But he makes a statement saying, oh, if you think we're tough on you in this plane, you wait until you go into Mexico. Which again was a total fucking lie. You know, Mexico was much less tight and restrictive as the U.S. was at that time. But they make up these lies just to scare people. What's their reason? To put their power over you, to scare you, you know. But anyways, landing in Cancun, I had to get a hotel overnight, which I don't like doing because they're horribly expensive. You know, in Cancun, they're very horribly expensive, even though it's Mexico. But I had to change planes, and I just, you know, I just didn't have time to look for a campsite or whatever, and so this is what I did. Everything was fine, except when I went to a Subway. They have the American chain Subway, was close to where the hotel was. I was hungry as hell. So I wanted to get a Subway sandwich. Went into the Subway. I had at that time, a handkerchief type of mask. You know, I mean, that's what I used on the plane, and there was no problem. In the U.S., I had no problem with that. You know, I covered my nose, my mouth, you know, with this handkerchief, because it was just getting going, these criminal restrictions of covering yourself. But I didn't have anything else, I just had the handkerchief. When I went into the Subway, the asshole piece of crap attendant, can't say anything nicer than that, would not serve me. That mouth and my nose was covered with a stupid what do you call it, handkerchief, which was thicker, you know, than these junk Chinese-made masks that they were selling. You know, certainly no germs could have went through it. I couldn't breathe through the effing thing, but I was wearing it, everything covered. And he said, no, that's not a regulation something. It's not a regulation mask or whatever. And he wouldn't serve me in the Subway. I almost tore the place up. You know, I'm sorry, I'm not a violent person. But when stupid shit happens, you know, I mean, but there was a cop in there. You know, they had a cop. So I guess maybe they had already had an experience with evil Americans wanting to kick butt, you know, but whatever. That was the first bad experience there. But anyways, everything else went fine. Flew, boom, boom, boom. Puerto Escondido, boom, boom, boom. Incidentally, from Puerto Escondido, I took a taxi, a private taxi, which, you know, I'm not a millionaire. It's not that, you know, it's not that. It's just it was inexpensive, and it was so much in that heat, changing little mini buses and all that was just a little bit too much. I was old then. I'm older now. That was 5 years ago, and I'm 5 years older now, but I was like mid-60s at that time. I just didn't want to go through it. So I took a taxi. And then whatever, I don't remember exactly, I have it probably written down in my notes how much they charged me, but it was reasonable. It was reasonable. It was no more than $40 or $50 to go about, let's say 150 miles. You know, I mean, it was definitely a fraction of what you'd pay in the US, and it was, you know, much more comfortable, much quicker. And I did not have to wear a mask in the taxi, no. And they didn't say anything to me. I don't remember, I think the taxi driver, if I remember, was wearing a mask only when he come to a checkpoint. He'd put his mask on. As soon as we passed the checkpoint, he'd take it off. Cool, I loved it. Anyways, they'll get to my village where nobody was wearing masks in the village. It's a black Mexican village, Afro-Mexicano village, and they are, in that case, were the most radical. I mean, this is a place where it's 95 fucking degrees every day. You know, you're gonna wear an effing mask. I mean, you would suffocate. Plus, masks are proven over and over to be ineffective. Everybody got sick. Everybody got sick from COVID. Everybody, just about. You know, certainly in Mexico, whether you had a mask, whether you obediently put that stupid crap on your face or not, everybody got sick, right? I remember several years later, I was living in Huahuapan de Leon, Oaxaca, and I had rented a place, and a very nice guy, he was from Puebla, the owner, or whatever, middle-class Mexican guy, right? And we were talking about this one. He says, oh yeah, religiously, all my family, we all wore masks, and we all got COVID. I said, yeah. Well, I avoided it as much as humanly possible to wear the mask. Never got that stupid effing vaccination. Oh yeah, they all got vaccinated too, and they all got COVID. No, thank you. Nope. I mean, we have enough stupidity in the world. I try to avoid as much stupidity as I can. But anyways, but guess what? I got there, I'd say approximately 3 weeks to 4 weeks later, I got COVID. I think I got COVID. I never had a test. It was never proven that it was actually COVID, but I have intelligent reason to believe it was a COVID or some variation of COVID, because I had the exact same symptoms as other people in the village who went to one of the fraudulent doctors there who said they had COVID, so probably it was COVID. I did not go to a doctor. I did not take any medicine, nothing. I suffered, it was like a flu, probably the worst flu that I ever had in my life, you might say, in a certain kind of way, and that I had no appetite. That was the worst thing about it. I had no appetite at all. Food, I mean, they made, oh my God, chicken and mole, which I love, you know, tamales, enchilada. The lady I was living with made some good food, you know, that normally I'd gobble that up in a heartbeat. Oh, she put that in front of me. It was like looking at a pile of mud, you know. I mean, I just had no desire to eat. You know, I mean, my body was just not responding correctly, saying that I was hungry, and I was hungry. I lost weight. But that was the worst thing. I had no respiratory problems whatsoever, none. I was just very weak. I think I had a fever that lasted longer than normal. I think I had a fever that lasted approximately 4 days of a moderate fever, not a real strong fever. And I was just weak as hell. And I eventually got so weak I couldn't even get up and go to the bathroom hardly. I was too weak to even walk to the bathroom, which is right close to where I was at. So I survived there, you know, and the lady started to get nervous after a couple weeks. You know, I couldn't leave day and night. The kids that were all my friends would come by and they'd look at me so sadly. They'd want me to play, you know, we'd play cards, which is a common thing, or go down to the river with them. And I said, you know, I can't. I'm just too weak. I just lay there in sort of a semi-conscious state, and I couldn't do it. And they'd look at me so sadly, like I was dying. I'd say, don't look at me like that. You know, I guarantee you I'm not dying. I hope not, you know, but whatever. I would not take the lady that's lived with, you know, they run for any little thing, for a sore throat, a headache. They run because it's free medical care in Mexico, you know, so they run to the doctor and get pills for everything. I said, no, thank you. I'm an anti-drug person 100%. And no, I'm not taking nothing. This will come, every disease I've had, every flu that I've had, it goes away on its own. I become stronger afterwards. I will survive. But what happened after 3 weeks, I died. No, I didn't die. After 3 weeks, a new symptom came about that I never had before. In fact, this fever, I think, was gone by that time. I was still very weak. Probably mostly because I hadn't eaten, you know, in 3 weeks. You know, I forced myself, one day I forced myself, I bought these milk that they sell in cartons. You know, and I'm not really a milk drinker, but I know milk is full of protein, whatever. And I drank the whole thing and ran to the bathroom and shot it right out. You know, fuck that. But I tried, you know, but I know that, you know, I needed protein, and it's hard to do when you have no desire to eat. But I got the shakes. Like, what do they call that? Parkinson's? Yeah, like Parkinson's, something like that, but worse. I mean, day and night, they never went away. I couldn't hardly even sleep because I was shaking. My whole body shake. It was constant shakes, and I thought, shit, that scared me, because never before did I ever have the shakes like that, ever. And this is a new symptom I've never had. And I later figured out on my own, because you got to figure things out on your own, because the doctors are worthless, that this probably had something to do with malnutrition, maybe, because I wasn't eating. And but anyways, so I gave in. And so I told the lady that I was living with, I said, well, I'm going. Don't have to worry, I'm not going to die on your property. I'm going. You know, I'm going, but I'm going to a bigger city, not the local city, which is a waste of time going to the doctors there. I'm going to a small city, a moderate-sized city. I think about 50 to 75,000 people live in that city, where I should be able to find a little better quality of medical services and see what they say. Okay, I went in local transit. No, I couldn't take local transit because I was shaking too much and I was just too weak. I took a private taxi. I remember now. Took a private taxi to that other place. We get at the border and they wouldn't let the private taxi because it came from a town, outside town, and he didn't have the right documents or whatever. And I'm sick, like maybe dying, but not really dying, but maybe, you know, shaking in the car. But these asshole the transit police, you know, wouldn't let his taxi come on. They made me switch to another taxi to just go on. This is like on the outskirts of town. To go into the city, he had to transfer another. It's part of the Mexican political bullshit. But whatever, you know, took that. We couldn't find a doctor. I said, take me to a private doctor, clinic. We went to one place. I waited like an hour or two, shaking, sick. Doctor wouldn't come out. These asshole doctors, which are frauds, really, most of them, except in big cities. They have very good medical service in big cities, but in small towns, they're all frauds. He wouldn't come out. He didn't want to get infected with COVID. He wouldn't come out. He wouldn't wait. It was me and a couple old ladies there, and he wouldn't wait on us. So I had to flag down another taxi, and every time, it was expensive. At the time, it was $1. A local taxi, wherever you went in the town, was only $1, but still. Went to another taxi, took me to another doctor. Nope, closed, the door closed, no service. Went to another. I mean, it was hitting hard, COVID, at that time, I guess, in this town. And these fraudulent doctors, they don't want to have nothing to do with it. They don't want to wait on you. I mean, aren't they supposed to take an oath saying that they wait on sick people? Sick asses, no. Couldn't find anybody. Went to clinics, went to everywhere in this town. I mean, I must have spent $10 just in taxi, going from one to the other desperately, and I'm shaking all this time. Nobody would wait on me until finally a nurse, I think it was, with a good heart, said to me what nobody else told me. She says, why don't you go to the batallon?